Hey friends, so I'm back with a few new dishes. So tonight we have some seasoned steamed cabbage with some amazing Brussels sprouts, lemon baked chicken thighs, topped off with a little bit of vegetable steamed rice. This is a very delicious dish and very family oriented, so stay tuned if you're interested and enjoy. So we're gonna go ahead and wash our chicken now. And I usually wash my chicken with some vinegar. You can use lemon too. Just rub these up with my chicken. And then I don't want the vinegar to stay on these too long. And then I'm just going to go ahead and drain and wash my chicken. I usually do this a few times. It's really up to you. You can remove the skin or you can keep yours on. But I'm going to keep mine on for that juicy flavoring that I'm looking for. Alright, so now we're just going to go ahead and season up our chicken. And what I'm going to be using is some all-purpose salt. But you can use some seasoning salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle enough on both sides of my chicken, just to give it a little bit of flavor in when we're ready to bake it. At this time, you might want to go ahead and preheat your oven to about 350 degrees to about 400 degrees, depending on how precise your oven is. Remember, you want to salt these enough or add enough seasoning on here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of basil, and I'm just going to add this all over the chicken. But you can season your chicken however way you like them. You don't have to season them the way I'm seasoning it. And last but not least, I'm adding a little garlic mix. So these are just some finely chopped dried garlics. Alright, so next I have my lime here. And what I'm just doing is soften up the lime so that it cuts more easily and just to release some of the juices. So I just basically roll it. So you're just rolling the lime. That's pretty much all it is. And then I'm going to cut my limes now into circles. You can cut these however thin you want them. I'm actually going to cut mine a little bit thinner. Little thin strips like that, nothing major. But you can cut them however big you like them. Alright, so with my limes now, what I'm going to do is just take each piece of my lime and you want to just open up the skin and you just want to stuff these right onto there. So what you want to do is just stuff each pieces of your lime right onto there, and this will give it a nice zesty flavor. And don't worry, it will not be sour once it's baked in, because that bacon will just, cooking your chicken will basically take away all that sourness from the lime, and it will just give it a nice little marinade. So you want to put that underneath the skin. Okay, so what I have here is a little bit of my browning sauce, and just with my hands I'm just going to take a little bit, and then I just want to brown the top of each of my chicken. Just a teeny bit. I'm not trying to brown the whole chicken, just mainly just the skin. This is quite optional. If you don't have browning sauce, that is okay. You can use a little bit of soy sauce, but in return, you're not going to salt it as much, because you got to remember that the soy sauce, it has salt within itself. And then you just want to rub those on to your chicken. And then now what I'm going to do is sprinkle a little bit of olive oil all over these. You can use any kind of oil you choose, but I'm just going to be using a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And then you just want to just rub these in on top of each other, just to make sure you get that all in. Alright, so next with my baking pan here, I'm just going to place each of my chicken pieces right in there. And then we're going to bake these bad boys for about an hour, depending on how quick your oven works or how fast it takes to brown them up and just dry them out a little bit. So you want to go ahead and just grill these. Alright, so before I add them in my oven, I'm just adding a little bit of rosemary leaves to these. And like I said, you can season these however way you like. And with that, I'm just going to add a little bit of oregano. You can get all of this at Walmart, No Frills, Super Center, pretty much any store you have. And now we're going to go ahead and pop these into our oven. And you can add a little bit more oil if you think you didn't add enough. Just add a little bit more on top. And now we're going to pop these into our oven. You can either use whichever rack you want. I'm going to use my bottom rack first, and then I will maybe switch them within half an hour. Alright, so right here, this is a little baby cabbage that I have, and I am just going to take off the first few leaves. And you can see cabbage is very dirty. This is all sand right here. So you want to make sure you either wash this off before you use it, or once you cut it up, you want to make sure you wash this off properly. So I'm going to go ahead and wash this up and come back. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut my cabbage. And when you cut cabbage, you usually want to start from here, but you can cut it however, which way you choose. You want to be careful that the knife doesn't slip and cut you. And I just cut around. So after I have my cabbage, I'm just going to be using a small piece of this. So I'm just going to cut off a piece. And then I usually cut up my cabbage this way, but you can cut it up however way you usually cut up cabbage. There's many different ways to do this. And then I just cut them up into smaller pieces like this, going in this direction, but you can cut up anyway, and they're yay fine. Alright, so I'm just checking on these babies. As you can see, they're looking really good. They're starting to catch color on each side, so I'm going to let this brown up just a little bit more before I flip them. But you can see how the skin is still nice and juicy and tender, and then anytime I poke them, it has a little bit of water that's oozing out. That's where you want to get. And my stove is at 400 degrees right now. And then you can either drain off this water to use later for gravy, or you could just drain it off in general if you don't want to use it. But that is looking really good. Alright, so here I have an onion, a clove of garlic, and I'm using some red and yellow sweet pepper, but you can use any color you want. And I'm just going to mince these up. So you cut these up in the shape that you like. And I'm just using a piece of this. You can use as much of this as you want. Don't forget to wash these. Alright, so I'm just adding a little bit of oil to my pot. And now you just want to go ahead and just add your cabbages to that. And I'm going to go ahead and just add my seasoning right on top of this. And then with my fork, I'm just going to mix that in. You can season this either with some salt or some all-purpose seasoning salt. I'm using some all-purpose seasoning salt. But if you have salt, you can go ahead and use that too. Alright, so what you want to do now is just cover this and leave it on low heat and just let it steam and simmer, and then everything will just cook together. So we'll come back and check on this in a few minutes. Alright, so we're going back now to check on our chicken. And those are looking mighty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and gently flip these on the other side, and then you see that nice crisp color. That's beautiful. That's exactly what you're looking for. And I'm just going to put these on the top shelf. This one's not quite ready just yet, so we're just going to turn this right back over. We're just turning the ones that are ready right now, because you still want to maintain some of that juice in there. And I'm going to put these up on the top shelf so over here can get nice and crisp now. And I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright, so our cabbage is all done now, and once it's done, we're just going to go ahead and just dish it out into a little dish. And then we're going to move on. Alright, so once my chicken are done baking, and as you can see, it looks real good. It's not too dried out. It's nice and crispy. The skin are nice and crunchy, but it's still pretty tender. I'm going to add these to my crackery dish, unless you have a baking plate. You can use that too. And we're just going to add our chicken over here. Alright, now so with my leftover grease, I'm just going to add a little bit of this oil in here rather than adding new oil, because it's simply all just oil. And I'm going to go ahead and add my seasoning. What I have here is a little piece of ginger, garlic, sweet peppers, tomatoes, and I'm just going to add a little piece of Scotch bonnet pepper just for a little bit of spice and flavor. You can add some thyme to this too if you want. Like I said, you can season this however way you like it. Alright, so now here I have a cup of water, and in this cup I'm just going to add a little bit of soy sauce. This is for color. You can use some browning sauce if you don't want to add soy sauce and you just want to make your own sauce from a little bit of seasoning, salt, and water. Alright, I'm going to add a teeny bit of barbecue sauce to this. This is to give it that slightly sweetish taste. And don't worry, this just needs time to bake in and it would taste real good, believe me. I'm adding the slightest bit of steak sauce. This sauce I got from No Frills, but I'm pretty sure you can check your local Walmart. I'm sure it sells it too, but you can also make your sauce however way you like. And I'm just adding a bit of that to this, and then mix it around. And then you can either add some cornstarch or a little bit of flour paste, which is just flour mixed in water, and this will thicken up your gravy real nice. And then you just want to pour this all over your chicken. And then we're just going to pop these in the oven and let them bake for at least another 45 minutes or so. Alright, so here I have some Brussels sprouts, and I'm just going to cut off the ends of these and just take off the first few leaves, and these are going to go right into my pot. Alright, so here I have my Brussels sprouts here, and I sliced them. So what I'm going to do now is just add these all over my little dish here. You can add as much of these as you want. Make sure you get those down into the gravy. But don't worry, the steam will cook these, because it's going to get nice and hot once you close these up. Alright, so now my Brussels sprouts are in. What I usually do is just do one of these whirly motion, because I'm trying to coat all of the Brussels sprouts with the sauce a little bit. Here I have a little bit of ketchup mixed in water. And this will also add to that Swedish taste I'm going for. And I'm just going to pour these all over. So it's going to be nice. And then you just want to go ahead and just mix that around and mix this in. So I'm just mixing that in. And then we're going to cover this and pop this into our oven. So now I'm just going to pop these in and set my timer, and I'm going to let these bake for about 45 minutes. Alright, so I'm making this dish with a pot of rice, and here I have my rice that I've already washed, and I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to this to give it some flavor. And you can go ahead and add some butter too. And then for this dish, I'm just going to add a few little mixed vegetables. But you can add corn, you can add whatever you like to this dish, but I'm just making mine into a little bit of mixed vegetable rice. Alright, so I'm just adding a little bit of butter. And I'm going to cover this and let this steam and simmer down till it's all done. Alright, so we're just doing the last of our chicken now. And that is looking very nice. So now we can go ahead and serve that. That looks really good.
Alright, so you guys have now seen the finished dish. Don't be afraid to try out this dish. It is very easy to make and very delicious. I guarantee you the whole family will enjoy it. So I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully for the next dish. Thanks for watching. Bye.